For over 5 decades, Gene Simmons has been one of rock and roll's most recognizable and controversial figures. As the larger-than-life bassist and co-founder of Kiss, he built an empire of fame, fortune, and fire-breathing theatrics. Behind the black-and-white makeup stood a man obsessed with success, discipline, and control. A man who turned himself from a poor immigrant kid into a global icon worth hundreds of millions. But now, as Simmons reaches the later years of his life, the story takes a deeply emotional turn. The fortune he's leaving behind, once a symbol of pride and accomplishment, has reportedly left his family in tears. Not because of greed, but because of what that fortune truly represents: a lifetime of sacrifice, emotional distance, and the heavy cost of ambition. Born Chaim Witz in Haifa, Israel, Gene Simmons came to the United States at the age of 8 with his mother, Flora, a Holocaust survivor. Her strength and resilience shaped every part of his life. Watching his mother struggle to build a new life in America inspired him to vow that he would never be poor again. And true to his word, Simmons built an empire. Through decades with Kiss, he didn't just play music. He turned the band into a brand, selling everything from action figures to coffins. His sharp business sense earned him the nickname The Demon, not just for his stage persona, but for his relentless pursuit of wealth. To outsiders, Simmons had it all: fame, money, and power. But to those closest to him, that same ambition often came at a cost. In recent years, as the rocker has reflected on his life, he's spoken with surprising vulnerability about how his obsession with success affected his relationships, especially with his family. His wife, Shannon Tweed, and their children, Nick and Sophie, have often described the challenges of living in Gene's shadow. Though they share a deep love, it hasn't always been easy to grow up in a household where work seemed to come before everything else. For decades, Simmons proudly proclaimed that he never drank, smoked, or used drugs. His addiction was something else entirely: money and control. "I wanted to make sure my family would never want for anything," he once said. But over time, that same drive that made him rich also built emotional walls around him. Shannon Tweed, his partner of over 30 years before they finally married in 2011, once tearfully admitted that she often felt like second place to his career. "I always knew Gene loved us," she said, "but sometimes it felt like we were living with a brand, not a man." In his later years, Gene began to realize the irony of his achievements. He had built a fortune estimated at over $400 million, but the more he accumulated, the more distant life seemed to feel. When he started talking about his estate and legacy, emotions reportedly ran high within the family. Simmons made it clear that he didn't want his children to rely on his wealth, a stance that shocked many. "They'll get something, of course," he said, "but not everything. I want them to earn their way like I did." His words, though rooted in tough love, left both Nick and Sophie struggling to understand the man behind them. They admired his principles, but they couldn't ignore the pain of a father who seemed unable to let go, even in generosity.